This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace.
Hello, good spooky morning, and welcome back to another episode of Saturday Morning Mysteries, where we're your hosts. I'm Grace.
And I'm Alexis.
And this week, Alexis will be telling us her Halloween episodes. Did I say episodes? I did. Because, what? Well,
what?
I mean, you'll have to wait this week and then next week, but it will be two in a row.
A two-parter.
Two-parter, like mine, which were disconnected. Alexis texted me the other day saying, remember what I put on the tracker? Erase it.
Fuck it.
Forget about it. Fuck it. We're doing
Delete
it live.
all pictures of the tracker.
Yeah. Erase it from your memory. Men in Black it. It's gone.
Yeah,
it never happened.
It's changed. Like I had a light bulb. Yeah. A light bulb
she changed
went
what
off.
she's going to do. We didn't update. Again, as you guys have been listening for a long time, we have a tracker to make sure that like we're not doing the other episodes of each other. We just put like the title and like the number of the episodes or like in the season and stuff. We don't know what the other one's doing, like what the actual episodes are about. But in this case,
keeps us on our toes.
I'm going in completely blind. All I got was that she said, I'm doing a two-parter for Halloween. Part 1 this week, part 2 next week to round out our Halloween arc.
And it's going to blow your fucking socks off.
Oh my God, that's all I know.
Probably. I implied that.
I don't have socks on. Oh no.
Me neither.
Oh, no. Gotta go, guys. Gotta go
Pause.
change.
Time out. Let's go put on socks real quick, and then we'll come back so that they can be blown off when I start this episode.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So with that, I don't know.
All right.
I guess
shall we? Are you ready?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready.
You're gonna be very happy, I guarantee you. Okay. And I apologize for people. I know last week when you did your Moville episode, I was like, oh hey, I'm also doing a Moville episode for my Halloween episode.
Oh yeah, during my first one.
I'm not anymore, obviously.
Men in Black
since then, Men in Black it. That never happened. Erase all pictures of Moville mysteries from that episode. No, actually, because that was a Moville.
No.
So anyways, so
go back and re-listen, but cut that part out.
I had a change of heart.
Okay.
For many reasons.
Okay.
Things on the internet reminded me that I think last year I said something that I wanted to cover a particular show or movie this year for Halloween. I think I said that last year during your episodes. And I was like, well, let me revisit that. And so I was like, all right, I'll do that this year. So let's do a little backstory here, Grace.
Did you say that during our Halloween arc last year?
Think so. I said it was during one of our holiday arcs. Pretty sure.
Okay.
So, and I'm
that
being
could be
vague
so many.
I don't want you to
then.
guess it. I know.
I had a theory, and then I was like, wait, if it was during any of our arcs, we covered so many things that have movies attached to them. So okay.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm keeping you on your toes for a little bit. Except for people watching probably and listening already know.
Halloween arcs just say Halloween.
Oh, that's true. So
unless you read the episode description in which case I wrote it out. Or followed us on Instagram. Or you're watching on YouTube and you saw the image related to it, which, is me in the future making it, not me now knowing it. So, all right, anyways.
Yeah. So
give me that background.
The year is 1991.
Okay.
The governor of Arkansas, a man by the name of William Jefferson Clinton, has just announced his campaign to challenge Pappy Bush for the presidency. Tim Berners-Lee, as you very well know, has recently announced the World Wide Web project at the European.
Before we were even born.
Before you were born, you were there. You were there. Anyway, so he announces this at CERN in Europe.
Okay.
And filmgoers and families are fresh off the heels of what we now consider classics like Home Alone, Ghost, and Pretty Woman, while also looking forward to upcoming hits like Terminator 2, Beauty and the Beast, Hook, and Silence of the Lambs. So just an awesome era. A variety, but of all great movies. Trying to show that people of all ages and like backgrounds were getting great entertainment at this time, right? Movies.
My brother was born.
Yeah, like the world became a lot better, right?
It was gearing up for the best year.
Exactly.
92 and 93.
Only a couple years later. Oh yeah, that's right. The best month, mid-December to mid-January, 92 to 93. Best month in history.
Yeah, 91 was, hyping up the world for that era.
Yeah. Had to get everybody warmed up.
Yep. Okay.
So during all of this, Turner Broadcasting Systems, Inc., the American media conglomerate founded by Ted Turner,
Okay.
happens to be in the market for some new IP acquisitions and is trying to gobble up some smaller companies and like production
Okay.
companies, right? And they're planning to expand their footprint into movie production and distribution. Because, like I said, the hits are hitting right now. There's big money in Hollywood, right?
Distribution, it's big, it's there. Get those
It's
VHSs
there, it's
out to the
now, it's
people.
hot. So
Blockbuster, you ever
after
heard of it?
Ever heard of it? No, actually, yeah, 91, maybe.
Yeah,
I should have
duh.
looked that up. What year were they? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Exactly.
after a fierce battle with Universal and those bastards over at Hallmark
Universal.
Cards,
Hallmark.
yeah,
Had
yeah,
those soulless
they
bastards
used
at
to have
Hallmark.
those soulless bastards trying to buy up all of our media companies. So after this battle, TBS eventually wins out for a coveted prize, ownership of Hanna-Barbera and Ruby Spears Animation.
Okay.
So their number one mission was to fill programming with a new 24/7 network dedicated to cartoons.
Oh.
And thus, Cartoon Network was launched by TBS on October 1st, 1992, which, by the way, as of our release of this, well, no, I guess now we moved it. It's going to be released later than we thought now. But belated happy birthday to our bestie,
Oh my
which is,
God.
again, yeah, 32 years old, just like us, basically. Like
Like
we
us, more or
literally
less.
grew up with Cartoon Network. It's kind of
Wow.
crazy to think about it that
Wait,
way.
what a
Like for some
lore. I
reason,
didn't know this.
I thought it started in like the late 80s, I guess, or maybe even like in 90, but to think it started like literally right before we were born is insane. Like it's
Wow.
been around with us our whole lives. That's crazy. And we've
Wow,
been
my
right
mind
there
is
with it.
like short circuiting right now
Yeah, right.
about
And it
it.
kind of
Okay.
also makes me feel old in a way.
Shh,
But
shh,
nah,
shh,
no, it
shh.
doesn't. 32 is the new 22.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
No, I don't want to be 22 again.
No, absolutely not. I
So
love being in my 30s.
yes. So this network, Cartoon Network, the network, as it shall
Yes.
formally be called, can't talk. It started out by mostly airing reruns of classic Hanna-Barbera and Ruby Spears shows, including our literal favorite, Scooby-Doo. And something
Okay.
happened when they decided to do this, Grace, and we are a very clear example of this. Millennials who were just seeing Scooby-Doo
We
for the
were
first time
influenced.
fell in fucking love with
Yep.
Scooby-Doo and Mystery Inc. The show and the overall series, like all of the iterations of it that they were starting to just blast onto Cartoon Network, gained a huge renewed popularity throughout the mid 90s and drew in top ratings for Cartoon Network. It was like their
You're
big
welcome.
ticket. You are absolutely welcome,
Possess.
Cartoon Network.
Toss,
And
toss.
so literally in like the first months of our lives, like
I
infants
mean,
watching
probably.
Scooby-Doo. You're welcome. So the executives obviously saw this and noticed this, and they were like, holy shit, this is amazing. This is a lot of success off of this old IP. And they decided to bring together a team that could then develop new projects based on already existing intellectual property that
Uh-huh.
they had just acquired with like a new fresh take, new hits,
Oh.
new twists. And they knew that
Okay.
Scooby-Doo would be a natural starting point for this project because,
Yes.
Scooby's in, he's hot, he's
He's
fresh, the
hot.
kids love him.
Scooby,
There's
he's
no
hot
way he
right
can
now.
fail. And so
Too big
he's
to
hot right
fail.
now. Yes, he's hot to go. And and by now, Grace, you probably know where I'm going with this two-potter, don't you?
Yes, yes, yes. This is
Yeah.
why when you said, that's why I asked if, was it during our Halloween
Yeah.
arc that you mentioned you would do this? And then I
And I didn't
forgot
want to
until
give it
this
away.
exact moment that you
Yes, so
had
did
promised
I.
this.
Yes. And so that's why I didn't really want to give it away. I was like, it was during an arc. dot,
Yeah,
dot,
that I
dot.
will say
It's
that
like,
was
let me go
smart.
through my spiel here first, Grace. Let me bury
Yes,
the lead.
that did
Yeah.
put me off the trail for a moment because I was like, okay, what else did we cover last year? Is
Yeah.
this a Hey Arnold thing? You always do that during the
Oh,
arc. There's so
yeah.
much
That's
Hey
true.
Arnold content. What could it be?
Yeah.
But
True.
let's
No.
go. Let's
Today,
freaking go.
let's
Tell
fucking
them.
go. Today, we're talking about the first in a series of kick-ass Scooby-Doo animated
Yes,
movies.
yes,
A movie
yes,
that literally changed the game for Scooby-Doo and Mystery Inc. and is probably, in my opinion, tied with The Witch's Ghost as the best
yes,
Scooby-Doo animated movie. Probably one of the best animated movies like ever, in my opinion.
yes.
Of course, this movie is Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
Yes, 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 yes.
When I remembered, I
It's
just had a moment. I was
swampy.
scrolling on Facebook and some picture came up in my algorithm. Cartoon shit is always popping up on my Facebook
Yes.
because Facebook knows me.
Yeah.
And it was a picture of like just all of these stills from Zombie
Zombie
Island.
Island.
And I was like, God, yeah, that movie rocks. And then I kept scrolling and then I
You're like,
like
wait
had
a
to
second.
backtrack, like, wait a minute. Duh, I said I was going to cover that movie this year for Halloween.
Yes.
So
Yes.
one last line here, and then
Yes.
we're gonna,
Yes.
don't worry, we're gonna, let me, one last line
We're
here.
gonna
Okay,
geek.
so
Okay.
we're gonna geek out a lot. So the film, it was initially released as a direct-to-video movie on
Mm.
September 22nd, 1998, which is exactly 1 week from today, by the way, the day that we're recording this.
Yeah, when we're
So
actually
that's
recording.
cool. Yep. And it made its TV debut on Cartoon Network a little more than 1 month later. You guessed it, on Halloween of 1998. So it is
Fork,
like the
yeah.
pinnacle of a Halloween movie. Yeah.
Wow. What year?
So
1998, you said?
1998. Yep. So
Wow.
it'll be 26 years old this year, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not doing that math.
Something like that. If
I'll
I'm
figure it out.
wrong, you know the drill.
I
So
don't want to hear it.
yeah. So
Wow.
I was so excited when I remembered. I almost felt like an idiot because it's like, what? How did I forget that I meant to do this movie?
I
How did I
mean,
forget that we haven't talked about this? And what I remembered was that when I wanted to do this movie last year, or I looked it up last year to like queue it up for this year,
uh-huh.
it wasn't on Max. And I was surprised because Max has like all of
Oh.
the Scooby-Doo stuff. And as a backup, Tubi also has a shit ton of Scooby-Doo stuff. So I looked on there and it's also not on there.
Oh.
But two things happened. I was like, well, I'm gonna fucking find this because I have to do this year, even if I have to freaking buy it and like send it to
Yeah.
Grace to watch too or something. Our OGs at the Internet Archive obviously have it on there. So I found it there.
We should have known right
But
away.
I know we should have, I wish. And they probably have The Witch's Ghost too, but
Probably, yeah.
that's another story for another day because I then literally like a day after finding it on Internet Archive found out I didn't need it on there anyways because it turns out that literally on September 14th, aka yesterday, as of our recording this, Max put all of those movies on
All of them?
there. So it is now streaming on Max. Yes, as of
Max.
literally
Thank
September
you.
14th. So thank you, Warner Brothers, HBO,
Wow.
Max, whomever,
Whoever the fuck
for
is in
putting
charge
that
over
on there,
there.
whoever the fuck. Never mind.
We're
So
not gonna get conglomerates. It's fine. It's fine.
exactly. So they put that, they put the Cyber Chase, they put the Witch's Ghost, and I
Ah,
think Alien, and like all of those OG, the Mook
yes.
era, if you will, animation
Wow.
films are all on there now, which I'm just like, man, this was meant to be. This was meant
You
to be. Like,
you teed it up to perfection.
it couldn't have
You
happened
probably
better.
you probably got those pictures on Facebook because Max was like, let's do a little
Pushing it out
algorithm
there,
promotion. Yeah.
reminding you,
To
yes, because they're like,
subtly
oh,
drop
they'll
this before we
see
re-release it.
she'll see the pictures of Scooby-Doo on Zombie
Yeah.
Island. She'll Google Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. She'll
And
see it'll in this article
it's
telling her that it'll
coming.
be on Max in two
Yep.
days. I was like,
You know
Jesus
they were
is
doing it.
insane. Yep.
And thank you
So
for doing it, in fact.
thank you. We appreciate your service greatly in this
Yes.
case. So yeah, the whole tone of this two-parter is going to be, since this movie is so iconic, we're going to do a lot of like backstory on the production of the movie leading
Cool.
up
Hell
to
yeah.
it and all of that. We're going to talk about the voice cast. There's like a lot of fun interviews that some of the writers and animators have
Oh,
done in
cool.
recent years about it to like celebrate, its 25th anniversary last year, and I guess it's
Yeah.
26th this year. We'll go through the plot, obviously, in the story because there's like a lot of true crime elements to it, and
Yeah.
like, oh, it's very terrifying actually what's
Hell
going
yeah.
on in this
Good.
movie. And then
Good,
we'll
good,
talk
good.
about in the second part like where it is now, how it's still like one of the best movies Scooby-Doo has ever made, et cetera,
Hell
et
yeah.
cetera. So we're gonna go through the whole shebang. This is gonna be like an oral history of
Yes.
Zombie Island as
Zombie
far as
Island.
I'm concerned.
Fuck
So,
yeah.
so if you haven't seen this movie, or if you're not at all familiar with it, but you know Scooby-Doo, the first thing to know is that Zombie Island is not typical Scooby-Doo whatsoever. It
Yeah.
has all of the, the trademarks and the classic hallmarks of the OG series and all of the classic qualities that you look for in like a Scooby-Doo show or whatever, but it gives the audience so much more, both in its animation and in its storyline and writing style. And you talked a lot about that last year with The Witch's Ghost.
Uh-huh.
It's the same thing. Like they use the same Japanese animation studio that did a lot of like anime work in the past. So there's
Yeah.
just way more detail in like the backgrounds and also in the character designs and their outfits and everything. But I guess the reason why this is Witch's Ghost is great. We love that movie, but the reason
Yeah.
why this is slightly greater is because this came out a few years before that, or a
Yes,
couple
this
years.
was
So
the
this was the
first. Yeah.
first one.
Witch's
So
Ghost built off of it, including like
exactly,
what they had been up to, the characters, our gang, that
exactly.
kind of stuff. This was the origin
Yes. And it
of that
leads
revamp.
into
Yeah.
exactly. So they all lead into each other. So the four films
Yeah.
that came out like in the 90s and early 2000s are kind of like in their own contained universe too, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool. So Zombie Island, it is a lot darker, much darker than previous Scooby-Doo iterations. And I
Uh-huh.
think especially the one that came out right before these movies was like A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, which came out like in the late
The
80s. So
vibe
like
change.
when you go from that to this, there's a big vibe change, but we love to see it.
Yeah.
But as a testament to these notably darker tones, one of the animators on the film, what's his name? Lance Falk. He did an
Uh-huh.
interview last September with Valerie Ettenhofer, I think is her name, at Slash Film.
Okay.
And they were talking about just like the production and the lead up and everything. And he was saying that he believed, or so again, he's on the animation side, so I don't know how much he had to do with writing, but he
Yeah.
said that the Twilight Zone was actually a major influence in the tone and like the
Oh,
structure of the
interesting.
movie, which
Uh-huh.
is a big win. Like no
Yeah,
notes,
you can't
amazing.
you can't miss.
You can't lose.
Cool.
And in particular, he said that speaking of like the half hour series run of the Twilight Zone, which was like the first few
Yeah.
seasons of it, he said that those episodes were structured more like jokes, with their horror and comedy elements being considered like two sides of the same coin. So
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole episode is setting up this like big twist or
Yes,
revelation
like the
that's just
irony at the
essentially
end. Yeah.
exactly and like playing a joke on the viewer. And so this guy, Lance Falk, he's saying that when you get to the punchline, you don't have an hour to think about what the punchline means. You want to be engaged in the story. And when it hits
Mm,
you, it hits you. So this is something that he said they wanted to tie into doing like a Scooby-Doo episode that's basically like
interesting.
an hour longer than it usually is. They're like, we
Yeah.
can't you can't just like kind of joke and have someone pull off a mask at the end of like an
Yeah, it
hour
needs
and a
to,
half long movie because people are more
yes.
invested. They're really
Yeah, you
into it.
need
But for a
something
30
more
minute show, you can do that because it's like,
easy.
it's
Yeah.
fleeting. Exactly. So I was like, oh, that's such a good point. And that is
Interesting.
exactly what the Twilight Zone does. So
Yeah. Also, I'm like,
yeah.
I have to fully admit that like I obviously have seen this probably multiple times as a kid, but of kind of like the four of them, like why I covered Witch's Ghost last year is like that's the one that like really stuck with me because I wanted to be a
Yeah.
hex girl was like the
Yes. And
through
we were
line
alive
that
by then. Or we were older. Not alive, we were alive for this too.
I
But I
was
feel
like, we were
like
born, we were like
I mean,
seven,
like
eight.
we were more aware is probably the word that I
Yes.
was going for. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm really excited like hearing that. Yeah, to be like, wait, what the fuck happened in Zombie Island? Like I remember the
Yeah.
vibe. Obviously, I remember like the setting, location. We talked a little bit about it last year as well.
Hmm.
That kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm like, and obviously there was a twist in the witch's ghost. That kind, I see
Yes.
that pattern in there too. But yeah, this is
Yeah.
just making me be like, what do I remember? Get into the
Memory
vault, Grace,
hole.
get into the vault.
Yeah.
And being like,
Well,
I don't know, tell me. Maybe I blocked it out because I hate horror movies. Maybe this one was extra scary and I was
I
like
was gonna
6 and
say
said, no.
one point is that yes, it probably scared you. It scared me
Yeah.
even as a kid.
All right.
Like
It
as
definitely
someone who,
scared me.
yes, I was like, this shit is horrifying for Scooby-Doo, but I loved it. And two, it's great that you say that because I think I said the exact reverse thing last year when you did
Yes.
Witch's Ghost.
Because you
I was
wanted
like,
the
oh,
horror one.
Exactly. Which I mean, which is Ghost is too, but for your
Different.
episodes, I was like, oh wait, I really remember Zombie Island.
Oh
I
my
gotta
God.
brush up
Wow.
on
We
Witch's
complete
Ghost. So
each
that's
other.
we do. Where this is meant to be.
Amazing.
See?
Yeah.
So, and I'm
Yeah.
glad
Sorry
that
for
you also just
interrupting. I
brought
just had
up.
to say
No, no,
that I
no,
was so
that's
excited.
great.
Like hearing all this is getting me more and more
I
amped of the
Thank you.
mystery of it.
And you're getting amped is making me even more
Hell
amped.
yeah.
So,
But
you know what?
go.
Again, let's go. Let's do it. And
Biotic,
I'm
let's
very
do this.
glad. And I'm glad that you interrupted and said all that stuff because you mentioned the Hex Girls, right? And a
Yes.
big thing about the Witch's Ghost that we really love was the music. Well, Grace,
Yes.
listen,
Tell me.
I fucking love the Hex Girls, but
Let's hear
the
this.
team for Zombie Island literally got Third Eye
Who did they
Blind
hire?
to perform a rendition of the Scooby-Doo theme song that plays in the
Yes.
movie. And they also got an alternative, like industrial rock band, Sky Cycle, to perform two additional
Cool.
original cycles or original songs. Who I
Songs.
think they're most known from this movie, but like the songs are fucking amazing.
Fuck
Like
yeah. I feel
it's
like
like just pure rock.
this like kicked off like Scooby-Doo realizing like, oh, we can get big names to do our music. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking of like the Scooby-Doo like live action, which was just a couple years after this, like
Oh
pulling
yeah,
in
with
big hitters to
exactly.
like come
Yeah,
in
freaking Mark
and
McGrath and yeah.
yeah, and then eventually
Simple
Simple
Plan.
Plan. Exactly. Like
Exactly.
this was the prototype for it to
And
be
I
like,
didn't
wait a
even
second.
realize until writing this script that Third Eye Blind did that song. Like
I cannot
it
wait to go
never
listen to
hit
it.
me. And
Right.
also like shame on me for not realizing that a band that was most famous for like writing songs inspired by crystal meth and you
Could
know,
do Scooby-Doo.
suicidal ideation, sorry, would do a Scooby-Doo song. But you know,
You
they
know
rock.
what?
So I'm happy that they
Like
did.
an
I'm happy
onion,
that
they
the
got
studio had the
layers.
fourth many layers. Hey, those songs
Yep.
all speak to you.
I mean,
Man,
yeah, they
Jumper? Are you kidding
connected.
me? That's like one of the most emotional songs ever.
I was gonna say that's probably the
So
first time 8-year-old us or 6-year-old us heard
became
Third Eye
aware.
Blind was through Scooby-Doo. Then when we heard them as we were like
Then we
older,
heard Jumper and yeah,
yeah, we were
exactly. And we're
like,
like, oh,
there's
they did the
something
Scooby-Doo
that
song.
has an emotional connection to this right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't
Like,
tell what it is, but it's there.
why do I feel tied to this band? And it's like,
Yeah,
no,
I
no,
don't
no,
know.
it's not because of the lyrics of the song. I promise. Like, no, 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 I'm good. But like
Yeah, but there's something
something
emotional
about
really
this just
hooking me here. It's just
ah.
I can't
They
tell
did a
what it
rendition of the
is.
Scooby-Doo theme
Wow, I
song.
can't wait
It
to probably both
explains
hear it
everything.
and also to have like a flashback emotional roller
Yeah.
coaster hearing this song by
Yeah.
them.
And
Great.
then, yes,
Cannot
it
wait.
makes it that much stronger when you realize it's Third Eye Blind. You're like, oh,
Fuck yeah.
are you kidding me,
They do it
man?
all.
Really? They do
Hell
it
yeah.
all. So, finally, before we recap the main plot of this just fucking chef's kiss, fucking fantastic film, we'll real quick just run through the voice cast because I mean, if
Yes.
it couldn't get any better, Grace, like, so
Here it comes.
we'll talk about Mystery Inc. and then I'll just name drop the other actors for other characters
Oh,
as they pop up in the
hell
movie.
yeah. I cannot wait to hear who else is in this.
I mean, so okay, so first we got Scooby-Doo, who it's the same dude who voiced him in The Witch's Ghost, Scott
Yeah.
Innes, who for the
Huh.
most part as a voice actor, admittedly, I only really know him from Scooby-Doo.
Scooby.
He's in other stuff, but this is the only thing
This
I'm
is
really
it.
familiar with him from. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he is the first person to voice Scooby-Doo in this movie. The first time Scooby-Doo has been voiced by anyone other than the OG voice actor Don Messick,
Oh,
who
cool.
retired in 1996, but then sadly passed away in 1997. So, right before the film
Mm.
came out.
Oh,
And
I
the
didn't
film is
realize that's
dedicated to him, by the way, too, which, like,
absolutely not.
maybe I
My
know.
heart.
It's like, stop it. Stop it.
My poor
No. Bring
heart.
him back. Bring him back to life. This
Grayson.
is Zombie Island, please.
We just talked about
Um,
necromancy. Get it in there.
yeah. Oh, put a pin in that again.
Oh no.
Zombie Island. So.
You're right. You're right. Okay, go on.
Um, so then we've got Shaggy. And Grace. I didn't realize this either when I was younger. And shame on me that I didn't realize this until writing this
Now.
script. Shaggy is voiced by Billy fucking West, Grace. Philip J.
What?
Fry, Professor Farnsworth, Dr. Zoidberg, Zach Brannigan from Futurama, Doug from Doug, Ren from Ren and Stimpy, Bugs Bunny in
Wait,
space, like the
how
Billy
long was he
West.
Shaggy for?
Just this one movie, this one movie. So in
Okay, that's why we
Witch's
didn't realize it. That
Ghost,
makes me feel better.
exactly. In Witch's Ghost, Scott Innes, who voices Scooby-Doo in this
Uh-huh.
movie, also started voicing Shaggy. So he voiced in
Funny.
Witch's Ghost, Scott Innes voices both of
Both.
them.
Okay, okay. That makes
But
me
Billy
feel better.
West, yeah, same.
Billy,
That's
what are
why
you doing?
I was like, how did I not know this? I
Same.
believe myself to be an expert on all things Billy West and
Maybe
Futurama, and I did not
maybe
know
he got like
this.
signed to Futurama like the very next year or something and like was like, I don't have
Yeah,
time.
something probably came up, or maybe he just so, and we'll talk about it kind of more later, but it wasn't certain that this would be like a long time thing anyway. They were just like
Oh,
doing
let's
experiments at
try
Warner
this.
Bros. Like, hey, let's
Yeah,
try
yeah,
this.
yeah.
So
Okay.
it's very possible none of these people were in like long-term contracts, but nonetheless, they got freaking Billy West doing this. Like,
Incredible.
I couldn't believe it. But I'll say just like a nerdy note about this is that this is also the first time that Shaggy had ever been voiced by anyone other than the OG voice actor, Casey
Oh,
Kasem.
yeah.
And so Casey Kasem was still alive at the time of this, and he originally was going to reprise the role, but
Uh-huh.
I don't know if he had always been this way or if he became this way in like the mid 80s or whatever, but he became like a staunch and devout vegetarian. And he was,
Oh, I remember reading this.
yeah.
Yes,
And
he was
so he
like, they can't be
started,
eating meat in the movie.
exactly. So he
Yep.
started boycotting because he didn't want Shaggy exactly to be eating
Yeah.
meat in any of the movies or any of the shows. And he really started boycotting in 95 because they made him do a commercial as Shaggy for Burger King. And he was like, yeah, no,
This is
anything
against
after
my
this.
ethos. Yeah.
Exactly. And they just couldn't come to an agreement. They're like, but like, it's
It's a huge part of
Shaggy.
Shaggy. Yeah.
And we already kind of started producing some scenes where he's eating like fish or like, like
Right. He's about
crawfish
to
and
be in New
meat and stuff.
Orleans.
Exactly. So they like tried to get him one more time. Like, can we please
Yeah.
just like work something out? But it didn't work. And so they got Billy West. So it's possible that
Wow.
Billy West was also just like, yeah, I mean, I'll do it, but like Casey's a
Just a
legend and I don't really
favor.
want to,
Yeah.
yeah, or something. Like, who knows? So,
Cool.
anyways, thought that
Wow.
was
Lore, deep lore.
interesting. Yeah.
Cool.
And drama. You love the behind the
We
scenes
love the
drama.
tea.
We love it. So Fred then is actually voiced by, to this day, the only person who's ever voiced Fred Jones, except for in a
Yep.
pup named Scooby-Doo and Velma, Frank Welker. Although
Yep.
Frank
Tried and
Welker
true.
did voice Fred's dad in Velma, so he was still
Yes.
there.
Still around.
Uh, I told you we're
Always.
gonna nerd out here.
Yep. I was gonna say our tried and true.
Yep. And then Daphne is voiced by the same woman who voiced her, I think, in Witch's Ghost, Mary
Oh,
Kay
uh-huh.
Bergman, who I could most notably ID as the lead female voice in South Park from seasons 1 through 3. Basically, like she just
Oh.
voiced every female character on that show. Um,
Okay, you
and
mentioned
then
by
I
female lead all of them. Got it.
literally lead
That's
all of
funny.
them, every female.
Uh-huh.
So also another bit of behind the scene drama here. Originally, Heather North, who was the second voice of Daphne, but she still voiced her in the first season
Oh,
of
uh-huh.
like the Scooby-Doo Where Are You back in like 69. So Heather
Mhm.
North was originally going to come back to voice
Uh-oh.
Daphne, but for some reason after one day of recording, they got rid of her and then they replaced her with Mary Kay
You know, I
Bergman.
do
I
wonder if it
couldn't
was
find out
like
why. I
that's like
might
a
dig deeper,
30-year
but
gap. Voices change over
that's true.
time.
Yeah.
I can
And I'm
imagine
glad
that was part of it.
I'm glad you said that too, because I didn't put it in here, but they had issues with Frank Welker too, apparently. Like
Yeah.
they had to have him do retakes and they were like really, really giving him a lot of shit, saying, like, you need to sound younger. But he was like, this is my normal voice. Like my
Yeah.
Fred voice has always just been my normal voice.
Right. Like it's
And
people age
so,
and their voices change.
but here's the thing, they went back and compared with old audio and they were like,
Uh-huh.
okay, yeah, shit, it is the same basically. So yeah, you're fine, Frank. Sorry.
Right. They were just
So
like
I'm like,
scarred from Heather North because she was like, they were like, if
so
hers changed
different.
because because she aged normally with time. Wow, this is
Time
what it's like being a
Daphne.
woman.
Yes,
everyone.
literally. We can't even age as voice actresses, let
Exactly
alone
the
uh
standard. Anyways,
yes. So
wow,
then
deep
last
lore.
but certainly not least is Vilma,
Yep.
who I mean, sorry, Velma, love you, but all I got is that she's voiced by BJ Ward, who also voiced her in The Witch's Ghost and
Oh,
the other films
great.
of this.
She did a great job in these four,
She did, she
probably.
absolutely did, and she's in a lot of other stuff. She's like a one-offer, like she was in an
Oh
episode
yeah.
of Darkwing Duck, I think, or like Rescue
Oh yeah, just
Rangers or
like
something,
appears
and
throughout.
exactly, but I couldn't.
Great.
There's
Good
nothing
for
like
her.
in particular that I was familiar with,
Yeah.
but she did great. I love Velma's voice in this, so.
Excellent. Amazing. Let's hear the one-offs. I'm so
Oh,
excited for this star-studded cast. Like
so
thinking
am I.
about
And there's
who they
more. This is,
pulled for
yeah.
Witch's Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, who did they pull for the
Mm-hmm.
first one? Let's hear it.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, Tim Curry is pretty
I mean,
freaking
we're
hard to
not going to
top.
compare. We're not going to
Yes,
compare. No one can touch him. We know that in this
but
show. He's our idol.
exactly.
He's our Lord and Savior.
Yes.
Why would we ever compare anyone to him? But
But like you can
nonetheless,
get close. The every Lord and
there's some big
Savior
names.
has like
He
angels
has
and
disciples, you know?
saints, disciples,
Yeah.
exactly. So
There's a whole
yeah,
hierarchy in the
exactly.
religion.
Of Scooby-Doo and Tim Curry
And Tim
fandom.
Curry.
So the religion of Tim Curry. So yeah, let's get started here with this absolutely haunting, horrifying, very true crime-esque inspired
Yes.
movie that
Yes.
is about
Yes.
some teenagers
Yes.
having fun and a mystery and a
And
dog.
maybe zombies, maybe an island,
Maybe
maybe,
Scooby-Doo as well
maybe
on
Scooby-Doo
do perhaps.
on the
So
zombie island, zombie island.
I love.
Great. Let's do
So
this.
the movie begins with Mystery Inc. being mostly broken up, but on good terms. And so, after years of mystery solving, the team realized that they got bored from the repetitive life of vigilante justice, as we call it, and ghost and monster hunting, because they always realize that at the end of the day, the bad guy is always just some person in a mask, and there really
Mhm.
is no true mystery or, horror monsters in this world, which obviously is what they want because who
Great.
doesn't?
I
So
mean,
Daphne,
also from the
yeah.
jump, I'm just now picturing them as just like hardened cops smoking a cigarette, just like it's all the same out there in these streets.
These kids these days, they don't even know what they're getting into. They have like smokers' voice.
Exactly.
It's like 22-year-olds. Yeah.
Daphne, just like that's why they originally replaced Heather
Even
North because she was
Scooby.
giving that vibe, and they were like, no, 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 no.
No,
We
no,
need
no.
Daphne to be fresh and young.
We know that like this is how it would be, but like we don't want kids to hear that.
Exactly.
We
All
need
right,
more
I'm
pep.
interrupting already.
No,
Let's
no,
go.
no. This is going to be a lot. This is why this is a two-parter mostly because we're
Yep.
just going to have so much fun.
Yep.
So Daphne is currently, I have a hair in my mouth from my own head, don't worry.
Scooby?
Daphne,
Scooby head?
see, are you in here with me? Um, Daphne's currently known around the country as the host of the wildly popular documentary film series Coast to Coast. And she's currently on the talk show circuit trying to promote the upcoming second season of her show, where she also is previewing what's in store for the second season, which is a Haunted America, quote unquote, tour, where she goes on a ghost to ghost
Ooh,
adventure. Show, get it?
ghost
Showcase.
to
I
ghost.
wish I wrote that. It's in the
I know, I
movie.
love
That's a
that.
quote, but yeah, they're clever. And this tour is going to showcase some of the spookiest sites in the country in search of a true haunting or monster sighting. So the goal here is to finally find a real ghost, a real monster, prove that they exist to the world.
Mhm.
Fred, meanwhile, he is still close by, figuratively and literally, as he joins Daphne on this press tour and turns out that he is her sole member of the production crew for Coast to Coast. He's kind of like cameraman and manager kind of vibes.
Mhm.
Vilma, she is running her own bookstore
Love
called
it.
Dinkley's Mystery Bookshop, where she just spends her days kind of mindlessly putting horror and mystery books on reserve for customers and stocking shelves rather than actually being out there solving
Mm.
mysteries for herself. Shelves, self.
Help. We
We
know what you
love
mean.
words over here. Shaggy and Scooby they've actually got a pretty good gig, if you ask me. They are working customs and like security at an airport.
Oh my God, that's right.
Scooby is a search dog. He's got his little like vest
Yes, they
on
have
and
the
it's
little
so
uniform.
cute. Yeah, they're in their
Yes.
uniforms. But this job, it doesn't last too long for them. They're unable to keep the job when they're constantly caught, we'll just say, consuming the
Yes.
contraband,
Yes. This is like
which
bringing back an exact memory.
yes, and I love the
Okay,
joke that
yes.
they made here with the contraband that also I didn't catch until I rewatched to write this. The contraband is actually illegally imported food, but it's very funny that Shaggy is consuming illegal
Uh-huh.
contraband because at an airport you think like, oh God damn it, Shaggy, you're stealing all the weed from these people bringing it
Yeah,
back from
but nope, just
Amsterdam or
snacks.
something. Nope, it's just like blocks of cheese and like bread that people are bringing back from Europe.
Yep, that makes sense.
So, nonetheless, just like the rest of the country, Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby are very well aware of Daphne and Fred's success with Coast to Coast.
Mhm.
And they are all kind of tuning into this press tour too, watching her do interviews and everything. And they're really excited to hear about this Haunted America tour. And they're all kind of wishing that they could somehow join on the adventure and like missing the good old days and yearning for those fun adventures that they used to have
Mhm.
as Mystery Inc. And as it turns out, we see that Daphne yearns for those days too. Because like I said,
Mhm.
like they all left on good terms,
Yeah.
they're still friends. They were just like,
Once you've
we're
seen one
over
old man
this.
in a factory, you've seen them
You've
all.
seen them all. There's no point. They also are like New Yorkers for some reason.
Yeah,
That you've
there's
seen
no
them all.
point.
There's no point in going back to that life.
It's when you don't got the passion,
Well,
kid, you
we'll
make
get together for the
mistakes.
holidays.
We'll send them a Christmas card, you know?
Yeah. So Fred, he picks up on this that Daphne is like missing the old gang and really
Uh-huh.
wishes they could join for this upcoming tour. He's like, I think I'll plan a little surprise for Daphne.
Aw,
Because
cute.
not only are they planning the launch of this tour, but it also happens to be Daphne's birthday coming up. And she's just
Aw,
been like so buried in work that she honestly doesn't
she's a
even
working
remember
gal.
this.
You can
She's a
tell because her
working
outfit is a
gal.
suit
You can tell
now.
she's got a
That
blazer on,
blazer.
ladies. Yeah,
That's
she's
how you know she's a
working.
working lady.
Exactly. She's bossing everyone else around now. This is
Hell
not
yeah.
the Daphne from the late 60s and
No, she got the
70s,
biggest
okay?
revamp.
She did. She honestly, in retrospect, Daphne is pretty much the only character in Scooby-Doo who has had like a
Has ever
character
changed.
revamp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone
They were
else is the
like,
same, which is great.
yeah.
So this surprise works. Obviously, Fred arranges for Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby-Doo to join them on the tour,
Mhm.
which they all are super excited and eager to accept. Obviously, like, yeah, here we come. We just quit our jobs.
Yeah.
Actually, it
I
happens,
mean,
Scooby.
tired, got
dot dot dot.
quit,
We were
whatever.
just gonna take some vacay, so yeah, we'll join you. And yeah, the surprise works because, like I said, Daphne has been so buried in work that she like totally forgot it was even her birthday, and she hasn't really been able to like get excited for the launch of this tour or anything. So like
Mhm.
when Mystery Inc. all pops out of the van, she's like, "Oh my God, what?" Like she's
Aw,
shocked, and it's actually so adorable. Like they're all excited to see each other. They catch up, they're sharing Scooby snacks and just laughing and
cute.
everything and they're ready to hit the road. They get started, of course, in the mystery machine, like
Yes, naturally.
classic, right? Fred like rips a sign off of it that says coast to coast, and it's
It's-
over the mystery machine, but it's clearly like the green and blue van.
Hell
Like, okay,
yes.
Fred, that was cute, but whatever. And so the gang, they're excited to get started. And Shaggy's first thought is always about food. And so
Mhm.
Fred tells him, like, don't worry, Shaggy. Our first stop is to basically one of the best food cities in the country, if not the world, New Orleans, Louisiana. And
Wait,
that
I'm
is where they
sorry.
are heading. Yeah.
This is very funny, just in
Mhm.
the like the fact that I know that this movie takes place in New Orleans. They don't get
Yeah.
past the city on the tour. This tour has one stop.
It ends there because they're not still doing the Haunted America tour and the Witch's
Yeah,
Ghost.
bye, Witch's
Yeah.
Ghost. I mean,
Yeah.
she's still like a famous host
I
and
guess it's
stuff,
a
but
few years
like,
later, but hey, yeah,
but
no.
still, that's so funny to think that
Which
like
like
our first stop. I thought
this
you were gonna say like
time.
there was a montage of the tour going great. It's just this one
Well,
stop.
there is a montage and it's all in New Orleans. It's all in
Of
Louisiana though.
eating.
Which I mean, yeah, no, of like chasing down villains and monsters and stuff. Yeah. But to be fair too, I mean, well, every state in America probably has a lot of haunted shit, but like New Orleans is definitely like you could probably
It's
film a whole season of haunted
you could
shit
throw a rock
and
and you hit a
and you
ghost.
would be cursed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the air will curse you down there.
Yeah.
So, but yes, so they're down there. You do, of course, see a montage with one of those freaking badass songs.
The
Actually,
banger song.
I forget if this is Third Eye Blind or one of those Sky Cycle songs, but
Oh
either
yeah.
way, it rocks. There's like rock music in
Hits.
the background. It's a montage of them,
Hell
creeping into
yes.
cemeteries, into old castles, through the swamps, etc.
Oh my God,
And
cute.
every time that they come across a monster or a villain, like you said, they find out it's still just a person in a mask. And so, even though they're enjoying all of this, it's not too long before the gang feels like they're back in the good old days,
Yep.
like too much back in the good old
Yeah.
days. And Daphne, at this point, she's actually getting pretty frustrated because they're running low on options and the stress is building. And she has now built a business around this whole like haunted
Yeah.
America tour, right? Like it's fun to solve mysteries, but her goal here as a
I get those
documentarian and a host,
views.
exactly. She's like, I need something real. I can't film us just like unmasking people. That seems like
Yeah.
a it might seem like a constitutional issue as well. I don't know. Like they're
Yeah, are
innocent
we
till proven
recording
guilty.
this?
Like I don't
This
know.
is going to be used against us in
Yeah,
court.
I
Trust me, my
don't think we
dad's
should.
lawyers
This
told me.
can't go on the show. So, anyways, they're all, sitting at a market trying to brainstorm a way to get something, anything that Daphne can use before they leave New Orleans for their next spot on the tour, Grace.
That
There's
they were meant to go to, but
exactly.
based on what I
Um,
know, don't get
yeah,
there.
yeah, it doesn't seem like it. And honestly, by the end of this movie, I would be saying same. Not gonna lie.
They're
So I
canceling
would
the
maybe
tour.
put a pause. Yeah, I
This
would put a
movie's going to
pause
ruin
in
the tour.
everything. I was gonna do a side tangent. He just pled guilty, by the way,
I
so
know.
it
That's
didn't
why
ruin
I
the
said
tour, but
it.
good on him for taking accountability for his actions.
Exactly.
So.
It could really deny it.
Anyway, yeah, I know. It's the whole world saw it. So, anyways, the gang is at this little farmers market kind of
Mhm.
brainstorming, or at least Daphne, Vilma, and Fred are
Yeah,
together
they're at a market.
brainstorming. Exactly. You already know. While Shaggy and Scooby are elsewhere, like eating their weight in sandwiches and po' boys and shit.
Hell yeah.
And so Daphne, Vilma, and Fred, they're talking through their options in this open space. Like, what are we going to do? We got to find somewhere. They're like holding this book of like a tour guide's book of Louisiana, trying to find any
Uh-huh.
location that possibly could be haunted. And their conversation is interrupted by a bystander who claims to know of the perfect haunted location that the group can document for their show.
Okay.
And this bystander happens to be a young woman by the name of Lana Dupree. She's a
Okay.
very mysterious young lady. She has very stunning eyes, though, like hypnotic eyes, almost light
Mhm.
brown, and a very soft Southern Creole accent with,
Hell yeah.
just say
Hell yeah,
those
we're bringing
words.
back your accents.
Southern Creole accent. Oh, there's going to be a few accents, don't you
Yes, I
worry.
love your New Orleans-based accents, your Louisiana accents. Let's do this.
She's got that little accent, bronze skin, very thick curly hair, and like kind of a
Mhm.
bohemian fit going on. I think like a red dress with like a
Okay.
vest over it or something. And she tells the gang that she works as a housekeeper and chef for the heiress of a large mansion and estate on this island deep in the Louisiana bayou.
Uh-huh.
And she, by the way, is voiced by the legendary Tara Strong, who we
Oh,
know
yes.
as Bubbles from Powerpuff Girls, Timmy
Yep.
Turner from Fairly Odd Parents, Raven from
She does
Teen
it
Titans, and like
all.
thousands of others. Literally does it all.
And she
Southern
seems so
accent is
cool.
I would love to meet her. I need to,
Same.
yeah, I'm gonna like see if she's ever come into like the comic festival or comic
I think she
expo
does
out
the
here.
circuit for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Like so many people. Actually, any one of the people in this voice cast for this movie would be on my
Yes, would
short list to
love.
like get an
Yes.
autograph from. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So Lena tells the three that she overheard their conversation, of course, and suggests that the house on Moonscar Island, which is the island that she
Okay.
works on, and the island itself, so the house and the island, are both super haunted. And
Cool.
specifically, that many years ago, a pirate named Morgan Moonscar used to live there, and his ghost and spirit
Mm,
haunt the place to this day.
okay.
Fred, he's like, ghost pirates, how many times have we seen those, right?
Been there, done
We've
that.
even done like 2 episodes on their
Yeah,
ghost
exactly. I
pirates,
was
and
like,
that's
I
just
have covered a
the tip
ghost
of the
virus.
iceberg. And so Fred's like, it's probably just holographs or like some dude in a mask. And
Yeah.
Lena's like, no, dude, I'm telling you, this place, it's haunted. But if you're too scared to come see, I understand.
Mhm.
And of course, they all look at her like, bitch,
Classic.
what? Excuse
Music to
us?
their ears.
Scared? Oh, no, no, no. Yes, you let us
Challenge.
know when to meet you and follow you.
Yeah.
We will
You name the
happily
time and
go
place. We will meet you
and
outside.
we'll meet you. So, yeah, they obviously accept this offer. And Lena's
Yes.
like, great, well, let me just finish up my shopping here. And then you guys meet me out at my truck and follow me out to the ferry and we'll head on over.
Mhm.
So, Lena, she goes off to do her shopping. And Daphne, Vilma, and Freddie go off to collect Shaggy and Scooby and tell them about this new spot they're about to visit. Meanwhile, Vilma is also able to, pull up the computer and the mystery machine and do a little bit of
Mhm.
research on Moonscar Island. And she
Right.
learns that there have very concerningly been a series of reports of people going missing on the island for hundreds of years.
All right. This is
And
the time where
this
you actually call the authorities.
this isn't the time where you're like, oh, cute documentary, let's go. This is the time
Yeah.
where you're like, but I guess to be fair, what she's reading are like police reports too, So like the
Great.
authorities know, but also um being invited to an island where a lot of people
Gone
go
missing.
missing. Once I see that people have gone missing there, I'm like, oh, never mind, Lena. Sorry.
And that
Like,
there are
you
police
seem
reports about
nice.
it.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
you seem very nice, but no, thank you. Like,
This,
we'll make this a feel good story instead about beignets. Like,
well,
we
I
don't
was going to
have
say,
to
this is
do.
when it turns into more like being like a call out for the island's police force and getting more like money behind like solving this
Mm,
crime. This is
like modern day
clearly
true
a
crime
space
podcast.
exactly being
Yeah.
like, we need to rally, get some online sleuths on this. Clearly,
Yeah.
like the local police force is in over their
Exactly.
heads. Like,
Yes.
this is when you
Exactly.
rally the
The
public to help
public.
like
Exactly. Ask
solve
for
this.
like calls for help. Yes.
Exactly. Get
Literally.
some, of like those really great, nonprofits on it, get some other big shows to cover
Mm-hmm.
it, do an expose
Mm-hmm.
on it, but not involve yourself in that
Exactly.
way.
You're just like
Instead,
bringing the
tell the
interest to put
facts.
pressure on law enforcement and like
Exactly.
local politicians. Like, hey, you guys
Yes,
do something
exactly.
about this.
Clearly, this is being swept under the radar. No one cares
Yes.
about this small island, etc. And
Yes.
that's what
Did
you
you
do
like
here.
yes. Do you like my little
Not
chair raise again? Because so
I was
my
so upset by the fact that like
you didn't
they
even notice.
were getting involved. I didn't even notice. But I forgot to ask you at the beginning how your chair was doing, but I
And now you
forgot
know
because I was
the
like,
answer. I
not
figured
good,
you
not
got on your
well.
soapbox for a second there, which I more than appreciate because I was
Perfect
like, ooh,
timing.
Grace is going off.
It's
Let me,
good.
yeah, like she's
This is
going
gonna
off.
raise up. I'm mad about
Yes.
what they're because I know what they're gonna do instead. So,
Yeah, it's Mystery Inc. Of course.
yeah,
They're like, oh, scores, hundreds even of missing people reported.
no
Buckle up,
evidence,
guys. Let's go. Yeah.
failed
No,
law enforcement, music to
yep.
our ears.
It obviously gets their interest even more and leads them to
Yes.
believe that, hey, if nothing else, like it's either haunted or there is at least some sort of mystery that needs to be solved. So, hey, guys, it's
Yep.
like the good old days, right?
Doing it for the footy. Let's do it.
Exactly. Doing it for the gram, pre-gram. So the gang piles into the mystery machine and they wait until they spot Lena, like, loading the groceries up into her truck
Mhm.
and getting ready to leave the market. And so they wave her down, and she's like, all right, guys, come on, let's go. And they follow her through honestly very bumpy, windy, off the beaten path roads going deep through the woods towards the river. And of
Mhm.
course, this is so that they can catch a ferry that runs daily back and forth to Moonscar Island.
Okay.
So once they get to this ferry that is, like I said, super off the beaten path, kind of really in the middle of the woods where you would not want to get lost,
Mm-hmm.
they pull their cars on and everyone hops out to kind of like stretch their legs and meet the ferry captain, a
Uh-huh.
man named Jacques. You ready for
Jacques.
some more
Yes,
accents?
let's
Oh my
hear
God.
this Creole
We'll
accent.
get there. Oh
This
my
French
God.
Louisiana accent, baby.
So Jacques, he's like I said, he's like this riverboat captain who helps take people back and forth from Moonscar
Uh-huh.
Island and other places probably along this river. And he's done the job for many, many years, and he's
Uh-huh.
very familiar with Lena and her boss on the island, among many of the other locals on and near
Yeah.
the island. And he's a very portly man with like white, shaggy hair and very thick white eyebrows and a thick white mustache. And he's got a
Uh-huh.
tan bucket hat on. And most importantly of all, Grace,
Who is Jack? Who is he?
I'm gonna let you guess. He is voiced by
I don't know. You just gotta tell me.
Jim Cummings.
What? He stepped into the Scooby-Doo verse?
He stepped right. He didn't know. No, he did not step, Grace. He did a 10-foot master dive
No
into
splash
no splash,
into that
tens across
river.
the board, straight into the bayou.
I should have known when you
This
said French. He loves to add or Jacques,
Cajun,
he loves to have a little bit of a European sprinkle into his accents.
and does he ever listen
Boy,
when you
how
get
he
Jim
does he.
Cummings, especially in the 90s, like when like
Oh,
he's still huge today, obviously, but like
yeah,
this is
but
golden era Jim
you
Cummings.
couldn't
Like
stop
he's
him.
you could not stop him.
He
So
could have
like
voiced this entire movie, as far as I'm
he could
concerned.
have,
Every character,
and because he goes all out on
obviously.
making this character sound like what I can only describe as like a Cajun foghorn leghorn, where
Yeah,
he's
oh my
saying,
God.
"Oh shit, well you don't even know what you gonna do if you going up and down."
Wait,
Yeah, it's like
wait, this is so funny because wasn't
insane.
he also he was in Princess and the Frog, he was the little lightning bug that's like
Was
this
he?
exact accent.
Oh my God, I bet it is. I need to go back and rewatch that
I'm like
now.
96% sure he was. I can't think of the name right now of the little
I
lightning
don't
bug, but
remember
that's
it's
the
yeah.
exact accent he did.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I
They
hope to
heard
God
this
it
and they
is.
said,
He
"Get in this
obviously
film."
has an in with Disney. I'm pretty sure they would put him in any movie that
Yes.
he
And he
wants
was
at
like,
this
"I want to
point.
reprise
But
this. I've refined it a little
exactly,
more."
he, oh God, I mean, in my opinion, it was perfect here.
It's already
A
perfect.
little intelligible in some points, but like
That's why he was like, I
that's New
refined it
Orleans.
so you didn't
That's
have
New
to
Orleans
subtitle
though.
it. He
That's the
cleaned it up,
bayou.
you know, everything's PC these days. He cleaned it up for that.
True. That's true. But I mean, if you listen
Wow.
to people deep in the bayou,
You can't fucking understand.
you don't know what they're
I'm gonna go ahead
saying.
and say it.
Just gotta say it. So yeah, we
Wow,
love
hell
it. I
yeah.
mean, there are so many lines in this where I'm just like, ah, Jim, you wild for that,
Perfection.
Jim. Like,
Mwah.
I gotta see footage of him recording in the studio for this
Yes, that
because
would be
I
so
imagine
good.
he was just going all out.
Hell yeah.
Anyways, so the gang they meet, obviously, Jacques, this captain, and he starts to push them off of shore. And Lena also gets out of her car. And this is now for the first time that she's actually seeing Shaggy and Scooby because they've been in the back of the
Oh,
mystery
okay.
machine and they were like eating elsewhere in the market when she met with the other three.
Uh-huh.
And she is less than thrilled about this, actually. She's like,
Oh.
I did not know that you had a Shaggy or a Scooby. I did not know that you that you had a dog, particularly.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and so the gang is asking, like, oh, are you allergic or something? We hope that's not a problem. And Lena says, well, no, 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 I'm not allergic. It's just that my boss, Miss Lenoir, who we're going to meet in a minute,
Mm.
she doesn't really do well with dogs, and she actually keeps a lot of cats on the property. And
Okay.
Shaggy is just like, hey, no, 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 it's fine. Scooby, he can do really, really well with cats. Like, he's a good boy.
Yeah, he's
He
not
won't be
chasing
any problem
cats.
at all. Yeah. Hope.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
sometimes.
Unless the cats are assholes, which,
Yeah, I
hey,
say it depends what the cats are doing to him.
exactly. So Lena, she reluctantly agrees because at this point they're already pushed off from
On the
shore. They're
fucking
moving down
ferry.
the river. So they're like, okay, well, I guess I'm bringing this dog
That's
to my
that.
boss's house who hates dogs. So I hope I don't get fired. Um, so the gang, they enjoy this riverboat ride though, as Jacques is giving them the lay of the land and warning them
Nice.
about all of the dangers that kind of lay
Yeah.
deep within the bayou. You say, oh,
Yeah,
there's
there's a
dog
lot.
back there. People go missing all the time back in that bayou. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna tag Jim Cummings in all of these impressions of him doing an
He's
impression of a
oh,
Swamp
Cajun fire.
Man.
Yeah. It's too meta. It's too meta. There's so many layers here.
Fucking
And
love every
so
second
he,
of this.
and so he also tells the group that God, I'm like fighting to not say it in his accent. He
You
tells
have
them
to.
that hundreds, you're like, can't because you won't understand me.
I don't care what the experience. Your voice is gonna be gone. That's mainly it.
That's mainly the reason I need this. So he tells them that hundreds of years ago, in the 1700s to be exact, pirates, including Morgan Moonscar, used to hide in these parts of the bayou, knowing that no one would ever find them. And additionally, on this ride to Moonscar Island, the people on the ferry, or the ferry itself, I guess, kind of runs into another local who's out on the water fishing and scowling at the tourists as he usually does.
Mhm.
Another classic Scooby-Doo trope, right? Like the kind of
Yep, the
creepy old local who hates
local.
newcomers coming in his town.
Yep,
And this guy, his name is Snakebite Scruggs. So very welcoming and
perfect.
perfect, right?
A perfect name.
And yes, and he, like I said, he's a local to the area near Moonscar Island who's always out fishing on this really old, kind of decrepit looking wooden boat. And he's usually joined by his very ferocious hunting pig, as he calls it, which is basically just a wild boar
Oh
named
my God.
Mojo.
Mojo
And
and Scruggs.
it's so cute. It is kind of cute. Or even
Wow.
Mojo and Snakebite is like, it's kind of
Yeah.
cute.
And they're grumpy
Yeah.
as hell.
Yeah, together. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. A
And
perfect
so
pair.
they're made for each other. Snakebite is super aggressive and violent, just like a wild
Guess he's named
boar
Snakebite for a reason. That
for a
wasn't his
reason.
government name.
No, his mom had him, and after a couple years, she was like, "Damn, no, we're changing your nickname, bro."
Snakebite. Yeah.
So, yeah, anytime that he's out on the water, he's usually trying to catch this elusive, legendary catfish named Big Mona.
Okay.
And he gets so upset at people who interrupt his fishing that he usually, more often than not, threatens to kill them. So, according to
Hmm.
Jacques,
Okay.
according to Jacques, Snakebite thinks that the Louisiana Bayou, or at least this particular area of the bayou,
Mhm.
is his old private preserve. I can't even do it. I can't. It's so funny though the way he talks to him. But anyway, Snakebite hates when anyone else is in this bayou,
Okay.
essentially, which
Okay.
isn't a
A
good
little
look for him.
territorial. Not a good look.
Yeah,
Velma
not a
is
good
sitting there
look.
looking at those police reports, being like,
Violent,
and
exactly.
how many interviews have they done with him?
Violent, wild boar,
Openly threatening, knows the bayou
threatening,
back
has a
and
lot of
forth.
weapons in his hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so the dude basically, by the way, just looks like the Crocodile Dundee, but in the
But
bayou.
bayou
So, like,
version.
exactly.
Right.
So, more holes in his shirt, and he has a glass eye. And
How cool.
he is voiced by just another fucking legend, Mark Hamill, aka Luke
I
Skywalker,
love
and
how many
thousands of
times he
others.
has
Yeah.
also, I think until we started doing this show, a couple years ago, I didn't realize how many animated
Yeah.
voices that Mark Hamill does. Like he does
Yeah.
so many. And I
Hmm.
guess I was just like he's done Luke Skywalker and then just lived off of those royalties for all time because he can.
Which, like, he could probably still,
Yeah,
yeah.
but like I just
Um,
hadn't realized it until we started covering all the shit he's been in.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It wasn't until, I mean, like I was an adult that I realized that he's probably, I mean, he's most famous as Luke Skywalker, but
Yeah.
he's as famous and more successful even as an actor than he was as like a regular or as a voice actor. I
Voice
mean,
actor. Yeah.
than as he was
Like
as like an actual
prolific
act, like
voice
a,
actor.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane. Like he's any name just about any big cartoon from your childhood, and he has
He's
probably
made
been in
an
at least an
appearance.
episode, yeah,
Yeah,
of it, which is
exactly.
insane. So love the guy. Anyway, and
Hell yeah.
he voices other characters in this show too.
Oh yeah, it's
Like
like kind of
randomly, like
one-offs.
kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But obviously this is his main voice. And then
Cool.
yeah, well, whatever. That's all we'll say about him. So, anyways,
Amazing.
it's great, right? Like they just keep getting better. So after this less than great encounter with Snakebite and Mojo, this wild boar, the gang immediately, like you were saying, puts him on their short list of possible
Yeah.
culprits regarding
Maybe a
all of
couple
these missing
interviews.
people on the island. Yeah, they're like, well,
Yes.
maybe put a pin in that and get to him after we see the island because he's
Yes.
leading the race right now for sure.
Yeah.
So the ferry eventually makes it to Moonscar Island, and the gang again has to do a bit of bumpy and windy road
Mm.
driving through the deep woods from the riverboat docks to get to this haunted mansion. But once they do, the trees all clear, the skies open up, and they see this absolutely beautiful
Of
mansion on this
course.
sprawling plot of land. And they're like, wow, there's our haunted mansion? Dot,
Hell
dot,
yeah.
dot. And this thing, it is beautiful. I mean, it is, we'll just say a
I know
true
exactly what you're gonna say about it.
antebellum classic.
Isabel's
It
great.
looks a lot like something out of Django Unchained, perhaps
Maybe
because
things were
we
maybe it
very
was
soon learn that
oh
it used
no.
to be a pepper plantation.
Oh, they just say plantation? Yep.
They say it.
They let
Put
you
a pin in
know.
it. Oh, they let us
Again,
know.
90s shows were laying the groundwork for our generation to
Yeah, they kept it real. They had to keep it
yeah.
real. They don't they deviate from the realness a little bit at some points, which we'll get to.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think actually in part two. So we'll
Okay.
talk about that later. But yep, they it
Well,
flat
this
out
could
is
have been a
told.
lot darker if they leaned more into it and it was still Zombie Island.
Yes, they could have, but
Yeah, instead of pirates, then
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
different vibe.
But
Oh,
pens everywhere. Just
oh,
pens everywhere. So, anyways,
oh. This shaped us. We
soon
were six. This shaped us as human beings.
yes, we are who we are today because of this movie.
Yes.
Which I mean, that's a good thing. I'd
Good
say
for
that's a
them. I
compliment.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
So
glad it shaped our generation in this way.
yeah, yeah. So as soon as the gang gets out of the mystery machine, they see that Lena was not kidding when she said that her boss keeps cats because
Oh.
literally everywhere they look, like they actually think she might have been under exaggerating
Now, would you call this a
this place.
childless cat lady?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but I don't think she would vote the way that person says that
Ah,
she would
okay.
vote. So
Dang.
again, she lives on a plantation, so I
Yeah,
mean,
you're right. Okay,
hey.
we're
But
yeah, I
but yeah,
forgot immediately what we just talked about.
she is hundy be a childless cat lady, like
Okay.
literally 100 times over a
100
child.
cats.
Yes, because they're everywhere. This
Okay.
place has cats everywhere, like all on the porch, all in the yard,
Oh,
just everywhere. And
it's
Scooby,
giving Great Gardens.
we
Horton.
yeah, she needs an intervention. So Scooby, as much as we think he's a good boy, he can't resist. These cats are everywhere, and
Oh
he literally
no.
runs like he chases after them.
Scoobs.
Scooby, and he makes an absolute mess in the process. Like he's destroying the groundskeepers' equipment, like their wheelbarrows
Oh,
and stuff, and their
yeah,
planters that are resting out, like knocking everything over,
not
breaking
great.
everything, scaring a bunch of these cats away, and eventually running directly into and tackling the owner of the
Oh
home,
no.
Lena's boss, Simone Lenoir.
Okay.
And again, Scooby-Doo is a freaking Great Dane. Like this is
Yeah,
a
he's a
massive
big
dog.
boy.
So getting tackled by him would hurt, especially when you're
Not
kind of
fun.
like a petite slightly older
Old
woman.
lady. Oh no. Okay. Goodbye.
So yeah, like, I wouldn't say she's old. I mean, she looks like she's maybe like mid 50s or so,
Oh,
but
okay.
I
Okay.
mean, she's little. She's not,
It's
she's
still Great Dane
and I mean, it's
tackling
a
you.
Great Dane. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter who you are. Like, it's kind of
I've
her.
almost been tackled by one. It would take me down, and I am young,
Yeah,
much younger than
yeah,
that.
yeah. You're much younger than Simone Lenoir. So,
Exactly.
yes, Simone is the owner of the haunted home on Moonscar Island. And she is honestly, she's a very classy looking middle-aged woman with also very stunning, kind of hypnotic eyes and a
Okay.
shorter blonde cut. Honestly, like a pretty powerful cut. Like she looks like a boss for
Oh,
sure. Like
okay.
kind of like the comb over sort of like
Oh,
low, like high
yes.
and tight, but for a girl, like maybe like a
Yes.
Charlize Theron type of cut or something like
Oh,
that. Yes. Actually, Charlize Theron should play her if this were in a live action movie.
okay. Okay, hell
I'd
yeah.
put that out there into the ether. And so this woman also has a very thick French accent,
Oh.
which maybe I'll try, but I don't know.
I was gonna say, let's hear it.
I mean,
Just dip
it's
into French for it.
really just dip a little dip into French. No, that was horrible, but it's like really thick.
Okay.
And so she's wearing this blue tunic with very nice large blue earrings and a green cat-shaped pendant necklace.
We get it,
So
lady.
again, yeah, love cats. We get it. I do too. I'm slightly allergic
We
though, so
get
like
it.
get over yourself. How nice it must be to not be allergic to the
Yeah, stop
cuddle
show
bugs.
rubbing it in
We
our
love them.
faces.
Yeah, geez. But anyways, Simone Lenoir, she is voiced by an actress named Adrienne Barbeau, who
Okay.
I'm very familiar with this actress. You may not be, but the reason I know her is because she was in a bunch of John Carpenter movies, so like horror movies back in the
Oh,
70s and
not
80s,
sorry.
and and in a Wes Craven and the Swamp Thing Wes Craven movie. Anyways, so
Okay.
she is like a horror legend though. I think
Oh,
she
okay,
was
that's
in
cool.
so she was in The Thing, she was in The
Okay.
Mist, she was in
I
all types
know
of
of all
stuff
these
back then.
films.
Exactly.
That's it.
So this basically is like their
Cool.
Tim Curry level pool, which
Okay,
again, like I
that's pretty
said,
cool, I will say.
yeah, for the times, for it being the first movie, like that's a pretty
You have
big
to get like a horror
get.
icon.
Yeah. Like
Cool.
I would love to meet Adrienne Barbeau. I when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's her. I don't think she has that French accent in real life. So like, good job, I
Good on
guess. I
her. All
wonder if she
right.
like trained for that. Yeah. So anyways, Shaggy is eventually able to grab hold of Scooby right after he knocks over Simone, but
Okay.
Simone's already pissed because this massive
Yeah.
dog has just tackled her, and this
Yes.
group of random young adults is now on her front porch, like taking up space and with
Sorry.
cameras and shit. Yeah.
Yep.
And so she asks Lena what the hell is going on. And at first, Lena's like, I'm so sorry. But then she explains that the gang was hoping to see a real haunted house, and she knew that Moonscar Island would be exactly what they were looking for. And
Hmm.
so Simone at first is kind of scoffing at Lena, like, really? Like, you just offered that up without even asking
I
me?
mean, correct.
But yeah, like not at all wrong for having that response. But
Yeah.
Daphne and Fred, they lay on the charm. They've been doing this for a while now.
Oh,
So they
yeah.
start complimenting the property like, well, Miss Lenoir, your property truly is so beautiful, though. And it's so
She's
picturesque. It would
hearing
look
Daphne and she's like,
great.
"Oh, you're rich too? Okay, you can stay.
Yeah, I understand.
I thought you were
Actually,
poor."
hilariously, Daphne introduces herself. She's like, "Hi, Daphne Blake, host of Coast to Coast." No, she's like, "Daphne Blake." And Simone just looks at her like, okay. And she's like,
Uh-huh.
the host of Coast to Coast,
Uh-huh.
the hit TV series. And Simone's
Uh-huh.
like, we do not have television in this house or whatever. And Daphne's like, oh shit. Couldn't win her
Fuck.
over on that one.
Yep.
But yeah, so Fred is like, no, 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 the property's gorgeous, Miss Lenoir. Like this would look
Mm.
so great on camera. And they ask her a little bit more about it, if it's actually haunted.
Uh-huh.
And Simone is like, it is indeed. In fact, it's been in my family for generations and was formerly a
Mm.
booming pepper plantation, yielding some of the hottest peppers in Louisiana, which we don't love to see, but it is kind of historically accurate, I
And
guess.
sorry, I'm sure she's about to
Mhm.
explain this, but have the people gone missing from this property or just across the island?
Across the island. I mean, as far as we can tell, this is the only house on the island.
Oh,
So
okay, okay,
it's,
okay.
yeah,
Thus.
I mean, we don't see anything else, any other properties there. Yeah, so I don't think it's like a big one, but I mean, it
Okay.
is, there's a lot of land, but it's all her land. So even though a lot of it
Okay.
is like swamp and wooded areas
Yeah.
that like she wouldn't go into, it's still their land.
Okay.
So I guess you could assume yes and yes, they've gone missing from the
Okay. Okay.
property and the island. Um,
Okay. Interesting.
yeah.
Got
And I
it.
mean, it's all a mystery. No one knows. People just know that people have gone to that island and not come back. They don't know if they've
Wow.
gone
I
missing at
have
that house or other places.
This is
Yeah.
sparking such an actual Foley true crime story that does exist in New Orleans
Oh
right now
gosh.
that's making me
Oh.
unwell. Okay, maybe we'll talk
Put a
about it at
pin in
the
that.
end. I
Let's, I
don't
was
want
gonna
to
say, let's do that
continue
at part two.
interrupting
Let's do that
you.
at the end
Yeah.
of part two. Write
Yeah.
that down because I do want to hear if it's one that I'm also familiar with by chance. So,
Madame Lalaurie.
oh, you're talking classic. I thought you meant like
Yeah.
a more recent one. Sorry.
No,
Yes.
a
Okay.
classic
A
tied to
classic one. Gotcha.
plantation
Yes.
owners,
Which I
etc.
mean, yeah, maybe could have actually been the part of the inspiration. I mean, there's like
Yeah,
a million and one haunted stories again of New
exactly.
Orleans to like feed from here. So,
Yeah, no pirates in that one,
anyways,
but anyways,
but
great.
hey, it's Scooby-Doo. Might as well fucking throw some pirates in, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Yeah, so Lena is explaining all of this history about the house and then does say that the house is indeed haunted. And she
Mm.
invites the gang inside and allows them to tape to see all of this haunted shit as
Uh-huh.
long as they can keep their dog under control. And
I
look,
mean,
Lena looks nice, or not, sorry, not Lena. Simone is nice. Like she looks nice. It's nice of her to welcome them in, even though this obviously isn't getting off to the right start. But just the
yeah.
contempt that she has for Scooby is like very
Mm.
red flaggy, very bad vibey, even if she
Uh-huh.
is welcoming them, including Scooby, into the house. Like she
Uh-huh.
calls him like this beast and this dog, like
Oh,
throughout the entire movie, and is always just like,
okay.
ugh. Like,
Ugh.
yeah, she really does not like not just Scooby, any dog in
Any
particular, like
dog,
any
red
dog at all.
flag.
Yeah, big red flag. So, Shaggy tells her that Scooby will absolutely behave as long as he can, like, maybe get some food in his system. Like,
Yeah, he's
wink,
just
wink, nudge,
angry.
nudge. We're hungry. And so she's like, that's fine. You guys just go hang out in the kitchen and I'll show everyone else around then.
Okay.
And Freddie apologizes on the way into the house. He apologizes to Lena for the mess that Scooby made because, like, they look
Yeah.
around and like plants are everywhere, shit's all broken and falling apart. And Lena's
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh, it's okay. Like, our groundskeeper Bo will take care of everything and get it all cleaned up." And we then see Bo like griping and grumbling to himself about cleaning everything up because he's
Makes
like, "This is a
sense.
week's worth of work that's just been all ruined."
Yeah.
And Bo, he's a younger gentleman with shaggy dark hair, and he wears like typical groundskeeper clothes. And
Hmm.
he apparently was just recently hired and is new to the property. But
Mm.
generally, he's like really, really protective of the grounds and focused on doing his job, which makes sense because he was just
Okay.
hired. He's like, I
Yeah.
probably don't want to be fired.
Yeah.
But as we see in this movie, all of this work is very often disrupted by Mystery Inc., which leads to him being less than pleasant towards the group, especially in this moment where, like I said, a
Yes.
whole week's worth
All
of work has
wrecked.
been destroyed in a matter of seconds.
Yes.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I honestly, same, Bo. Same. I would be pissed.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to work, and for all the work that you have done to then be ruined in
How it's
like
fucked
a
up in
millisecond.
seconds.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
be
that
pissed
checks.
too. So the gang goes into the mansion, and also I forget who voices Bo, but I don't think it's like anyone who I had ever heard of. So sorry
Yeah.
to you, sir,
Sorry,
but
Bo.
you did a great job. I love Bo, at least, mostly through this
Your
movie.
voice is great. Great.
Yeah. So the gang goes into the mansion, and Simone begins the tour. But like I said, Scooby and Shaggy, they make a beeline for the kitchen.
Hmm.
And while Simone and Lena are leading Fred, Daphne, and Velma through this tour, they're startled and interrupted when they hear Scooby and Shaggy's blood-curdling screams coming from the kitchen. And so
Okay.
they run, they like drop everything and run to the kitchen to see what's going on. And Shaggy, with pure terror, just like shaking, points his hand towards a wall on the other side of the kitchen
Uh-huh.
where they look and see that the message "Get out" has been scratched into the wall. like
Oh.
very messy, not like cute little nice
Oh,
friendly
like
handwriting or painted on, like
carved
a knife
in.
carved exactly into
Okay.
the wall. And Shaggy and Scooby say that they saw this happen just seconds before they screamed while they were trying to like make a sandwich or
Oh.
something in the kitchen. And so Daphne is like, okay, Fred, get the camera out. Like, we gotta, like, boom, we've got footage. Let's go. And
Uh-huh.
she immediately gets her microphone and starts commentating on the message. Like, she brings Simone into the shot too and says, like, we're here on Moonstar Island where this message has been written into the wall by a ghost, etc.
Uh-huh.
And as she's in the middle of reporting, a like very strong, cold gust blows through the kitchen, this very cold breeze, and it like blows Daphne's hair all in her face and everywhere. And she like
Uh-huh.
has to cut, who opened a window? Close the window. But when the gang looks up, they see that the word beware has now been added to the message on
Oh.
the wall. So while they were standing there, the
Oh, it
word
was
beware
added.
was also carved, which
Okay.
shocks and terrifies them all.
And
They're
no
like,
one saw a
what?
ghost.
No one saw anything,
Ooh,
but
okay.
Freddie was filming.
Okay.
So Velma leans in to investigate the literal writing on the wall while Daphne is like fixing her hair a bit and is like, Fred, all right, get the camera back up. Like, we're gonna get another
Uh-huh.
take then. But as soon as Fred lifts the camera up, he just turns it away from Daphne, drops his jaw, and points over to Velma, who has literally started floating, like
Oh,
levitating, not possessed or in a trance, not like she's been like taken over by anything. She's
she's
just
just
like
floating.
freaking out as she's like hovering in the air, like, can somebody please get me down? What the fuck is
Oh no.
happening?
Okay.
Yeah.
This
Eventually she falls
escalated really
down.
quickly.
It had like boom. As soon as they step in this house, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
Simone told you it was
It
haunted.
was fucking
Okay. You didn't
haunted.
believe her. So she eventually falls down without any sort of like warning or trigger. She just
Uh-huh.
slumps down. And the gang is like, okay,
Fuck. Okay.
the fuck? Let's review this tape because we got all that
Yes.
on film. And let's see if we can like find anything in the footage because like there had
Yeah.
to have been a hologram we missed or something, or piano wire, something,
Right.
anything. And Grace,
There's
what they
nothing.
see when they look at this tape and the footage sent goosebumps down my 6 year
Okay,
old
so it's not
arms
nothing, which is what I
when
thought it would
I
be.
Yeah, no, it
Okay.
is for an animated little made for TV movie. It is something that is actually so haunting and terrifying,
Oh
and
no.
truly was what I consider the start of a turning point away from like the traditional way of writing Scooby-Doo
Uh-huh.
episodes. But that is where I will leave you today until we pick back up in
No.
part two next week,
God damn it.
because this has gone on long enough. I should probably wrap up here before we
God damn
finish
it.
the
Okay.
episode. But don't worry, next week there's like still so much more horror and just like weird shit that's going to unfold on this
Okay.
island. Like, we're rear loading for part two, so I could do all of that history and shit
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
pre-production stuff in part one. But part two, we're gonna get to so much more just absolutely
Okay,
horrifying
haunting
and
shit.
haunting shit that's happening on this
Wow.
island. So
It's gonna
buckle
take
up.
everything in me not to Google what this ghost looks like. I won't
Please
do it.
don't.
Other people
I
don't do it
mean,
between now and next week. Nope. Big
you,
reveal.
you can Google what it, oh yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You haven't seen it yet. That's right. I mean, you can Google what, no, no, you're right. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do
No,
it.
yeah, I'm not
Especially
gonna
you,
do it.
because we're just gonna take a quick break and then come back and record this.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah,
only have
I'm
to
not
wait
gonna do
15
it.
minutes, Grace.
Listeners, don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is funny if like again, I had like, the when you're describing the TSA scene, I was like, I remember this, but
Yeah, like little
I haven't
vague.
had that same flashback yet. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I know I've seen this. Maybe this was the point in which little
Where did I
Grace
see
said,
this?
nope.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn this off
Yep,
now.
just
I'll
gonna
come
close
back for
my
the next
eyes
Scooby-Doo
for the rest
movie.
of everything
Yeah,
and come
ever.
back. So,
Yep.
all right, wow,
Yep, it
amazing
probably
work.
was. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So
Hell yeah. Great.
next week is going to be even more ridiculous, even more horrifying.
Yes.
So stay tuned. Please come back. For those of you who have seen this movie,
Hell
come
yes.
back just to relive the nostalgia of
Yes.
how
Do it with
crazy it was.
us.
For those of you
Hell
who
yeah.
haven't, don't watch it just yet.
Buckle
Wait
up.
until after this episode or next week's
Yep.
episode
Hell
because
yeah.
it will be worth it. And it's on Max now, so you can watch it on Max. You don't have to illegally find it and download it like I almost did at first. Anyway,
didn't have to.
I didn't have to. So until then, Grace, who should they tell about this podcast?
Oh man, I think you should tell Jim Cummings about this podcast.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, he's very active on social media. He's got his own podcast. Tag him, tell him that there's an impression of him doing an impression.
I'll do more next week,
this
maybe.
episode. Yes, let him know. And we've done 1,000 other ones too, because we talk about him all the time because it's in all of our shows. Let him know, tag him on social media, et cetera, on his normal account, on his podcast account. And who else should they tell?
Then you should tell Tara Strong.
Hell yeah.
I think she's been married and has a new last name now, or her last name was different.
She probably professionally still goes by it
or something, but yeah, she'll still go by Tara Strong, I think. So tell her, because she's another one who we've covered time and time again on this podcast, and we want to meet her. We want to be all their friends. We don't want to just be their fans. We want to be their friends. We want to.
No, come on.
Yeah, it'd be fun. We'd have a great time just chatting.
Have a great time.
Just hanging, being friends.
That's all we want.
But anyways,
great, amazing.
So until then,
bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.